Hey, it's Schwartz. Couple things. One, please don't do any mushrooms with the person who we're really working on this amazing deal with. Bad idea. Let them love you mushroom free. That would be awesome. Two, great job, Endeavor, at the show. It was awesome. Couple reminders. Act like you've been there before. Be there like you've been there before, because you have been there before. And when you're on stage and you're telling the whole crowd, a sold-out show, this is the first time I sold out a show in advance. And I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about? You sell out shows in advance all the time. I don't get it. Okay. The other thing is, no more fucking comps, please. No more comps. Like 100-something comps. Andy's friends that listen to this message, because Andy fucks me over all the time and puts my messages on his podcast. Please, Andy's friends, support your bro and your bros in the band and go see the fucking show like a normal human being. And you don't need to be backstage. You just need to enjoy the show, dance your ass off, have a good time, support music. What the fuck is...
All right, and we're live. Andy Frasco's World Saving Podcast. I'm Andy Frasco. How's our heads? How's our minds? Are we staying out of trouble? It's a beautiful fucking day in the Midwest. I'm on tour. We're back on tour, baby. Let's fucking go. Hell yeah, Midwest, here we come, baby. I'm like the Jewish Dorothy. Hell yeah. We got Bruce Hornsby on the show. I got to make this quick because the interview is it's really good, and I'm not just I learned so much about the Dead and how record labels were giving out record contracts. I mean, it's fucking Bruce Hornsby, the GOAT. Let's go, Bruce is on the show. Big show. You're gonna love this interview. Nick and I dive deep into the world of Hornsby, and I think you're gonna love it. But how's everyone doing? Y'all staying good? Staying happy? It's that check-in, you know. February's always that check-in. I had my birthday, my 36th birthday this weekend. Shout out to everyone. Thank you guys so much for all the birthday love. It feels good, and it's overwhelming as shit how many people stop their day to message me and just I don't know, just give me a lot of love on my birthday. It's very special, and I don't take it for granted. You guys are the shit, and we're in this together. I love all my fans. I love all my people. And for you guys to show me this, I'm gonna cry. For you guys to show me all the same love, it's woo. It feels good. So we're all in this together, people. So keep fighting the good fight. Turned 36. Jesus fucking Christ. 36 is just a boring ass birthday. It's like, it's like I shouldn't even be celebrating it, but my narcissistic ass always plays a show on my birthday. So shout out to Kansas City. That was very special. But yeah, we have more shows actually this week. Let me pull this up because I can't remember shit anymore. We're playing so many shows. This Tuesday, today, we're playing in Peoria, Illinois. The 14th, tomorrow's Valentine's Day. Lovers, go out there. Go make love with your person. Even if it's a booty call, you're going on a first day on Valentine's Day. Very ballsy. If you're going to have a first day on Valentine's Day, just know that the expectations are going to be through the roof if you do something spectacular on the first date. So just FYI for all the booty call people on all the first dates. But for the people who've been on relationships for a while, if you haven't hung out with your girl or your guy, gave them some loving, go out there. Just fucking go after it. Make love with each other. Just get out there. Go take dinner time, even though Valentine's Day is kind of bullshit to me, I think, because you should be loving your person this much all the time. But go out there, fucking get after it. Make love with your woman. Make love with your man. Go just fellate him for fucking 15 hours or fellate her for 27 hours. Go give him the deed. Let's fucking go. Hell yeah. Bruce. Hornsby's publicist is gonna be like, what the fuck did I book him on? But for real, give him some love and give her some love into Valentine's Day. And we're playing in Des Moines, the big city of Des Moines. So that show's almost sold out. So grab your tickets. And then the 15th, we're in Omaha, Nebraska. I love Omaha, the land of Chris Lager. Shout out to Chris. We got a lot of special things planned. We're still on tour with Dogs in the Pile. We love Dogs in the Pile. And then the 16th, we're in Minneapolis. That show's almost sold out too. Come on out. And then the 17th, we're in Chicago, baby. Yo, the Metro. I thought that was going to be the Eye of the Tiger sound, but I actually changed it to a drum roll. Hell yeah, we're playing the Metro. Famous ass people play the Metro. I want to sell it out. I want to put my name on the wall. So get out there. We're almost sold out. I think we have like a couple hundred more tickets left. But I know Chicago, big cities they're like, oh shit, I forgot to get tickets. So get out there, buy some tickets. And then I'm home for like 10 days. And then it is Winter Wondergrass. Yes. Come on out to Steamboat. It's going to be fun. I'm there all weekend. I got a lot of fun sit-ins. All my friends are playing. Hopefully I get Sierra Farrell to come sit in as well. We've been pen pals forever. And I don't think we met each other once, kind of at the airport. I was on the escalator and she was going down the escalator. I'm like, Sierra. She's like, Frasco. And then we just nodded. And like, we had to get to we had shit to go to. But I get to hang out with Sierra. I can't wait. I haven't seen her live yet, but I heard she's just unbelievable. And she's such a good person. I'm really excited to hang out with her. So hopefully she sits in with us. I got to ask her what's Gucci. But it's going to be great. Yeah, Bruce Hornsby. Check it out. Dialed in Gummies, baby. If you're in the Colorado area, if you're going to Steamboat, I mean, if you're coming to Colorado, you're flying in for the Winter Wondergrass, might as well get yourself some Dialed in Gummies. The best gummies on the planet. I'm not just saying that because they pay us. They really do help me. And they got this new one with CBD in it. It's fucking dope. And if you're a type of person who needs like fucking heavy dosage of weed, which I can't. I personally have like fucking anxiety attacks. They our guitar player's wife Toby has her own brand of Dialed in Gummies called Toby Wan Kenobis. Are 50 milligrams a gummy. Go grab yourself some. Support the Frasco family. And we also have some from Nick and I have a World Saving Podcast collab. Speaking of the World Saving Podcast, we are on tour, people. We are going on tour. We're taking the podcast on the road. Let's fucking go. We're out here. We're making moves. March 9th, we're in Philadelphia with the podcast. March 10th, we're in New York. We have a day off in New York. We're going to have so much fun. Todd Glass is opening, people. Todd Glass is doing stand-up, too. He's opening for us. He's like, Andy, I'll throw you a bone. I'll open. We'll get this thing popping. There's still tickets available, a lot of these shows. March 13th, we're in Raleigh, North Carolina. And March 14th, we are back in Denver. I will announce all the special guests. It's going to be fucking ill. I have all these local musicians and big bands, being the house band, being the World Saving Band, with Sean Eccles being the band leader. And then we have interviews. And we have amazing interviews. I can't believe some of the guests we got in some of these towns. It's going to be special. So grab your tickets for the World Saving Podcast Tour. Me and Nick, Sean, Todd Glass, we're coming into your city. No pun intended. We're just going to blow loads of happiness and smiles all over the city. So come on out. And our fearless leaders, we just renewed our contract with, let's go, Volume.com. We're back. Another year with Volume, baby. Head to Volume.com. I had a meeting with the COO, Greg, and it was a blast. He really taught me more about the company than I didn't really know. I thought it was just going to be like a live stream company, but we are trying to take the power back for musicians. And it's all about that alert when you pop something up. So if you're a content creator and you need to get your content out and you're not just like hoping people are on Instagram or hoping people are on Facebook for them to see your content, they'll give you a ping every time. Yo, Frasco Band just put out a live album. Yo, Frasco Band just put out a new podcast. It will pop up on your phone saying, new content, ready to rock. So if you're a content creator, you might as well get all your stuff on Volume.com. We're trying to take the power back, people. Don't you want to collect all your emails? Don't you want to build a fan base? What if Instagram or Facebook just disappears? Then you lose all your fans. We need to take the power back and get your stuff on Volume.com. And if you're just a listener, no problem. There's so many great live streams cataloged. There's so many, all our podcasts are cataloged in there. So if you want to watch all our faces, you want to watch Bruce Hornsby, me and Nick gush about Bruce Hornsby, turn off the Apple or Spotify and head to volume.com to watch it live or rewatch it. Fuck it, watch it twice. Let's get those fucking residuals, baby. Let's go. We need royalties. We need some royalties. I want some mailbox money. Let's fucking go. So head to volume.com for everything you need. All right, guys. Bruce Hornsby. Bruce, if you don't know who Bruce Hornsby is, maybe you're in the younger generation. Chris, play That's Just the Way It Is. Tupac sampled this guy. I'm a big fan of Tupac. Even Tupac was like, yo, this fucking song slaps. I'm making it into changes. I don't feel no changes. You're going to love it. You're going to love this interview. He was also in The Dead at the end of Jerry's career. And we got really deep about Jerry's death, and we got really deep about just his life. I mean, he's been a musician forever, and he's been through the ups and downs of the music industry while having a fucking so many hits. It's crazy how many hits he has. So you're gonna love this interview. All right, guys. I'm out. I got to get to sound check, but it's a beautiful day in the Midwest. Thank you for all the birthday love, and we love you. All right, enjoy Bruce Hornsby, and I'll catch you next week with, I won't tell you who, but actually I will. Jamie Wyatt. She's the shit. That interview. She talks about going to prison, hooking up in prison. It's amazing. She's putting out a new record. I want to give her some love for the podcast. All right, guys, enjoy Bruce Hornsby, and I will catch you on the tail end. Bruce Hornsby, how you doing, sir?
Not horrible.
Where are you living these days?
I'm okay. Well, I live in a town where I grew up, Williamsburg, Virginia. I lived in L.A. from 80 to 90. I think Tom Wolfe called the 80s the me decade. Either the 70s or the 80s were called by the great Wolfe the me decade. So I went out there for me and tried to get something going in the music scene. I was a late bloomer, finally got something, got a record deal in 85. And then so we were there through 90, and then I moved back to Virginia in 1990, and my next move is into a pine box.
No way. That's going to be at least 30 or 40 years,
yeah,
bud.
let's give it some time.
Yeah, give it some time. You're a legend, Bruce. We need you around. What's your love with basketball? Why do you love basketball so much?
That's a funny way to start. Yeah. Okay. Look, I was tallish as a kid. I was a kid growing up playing every sport in its season: football, basketball, baseball. I was also a little bit into music. When the Beatles came on the scene in '63 or so, every white kid in America wanted to play guitar and be in a band, and so I was no different. Even though I was mostly a jock, I played guitar and had a little band in sixth grade. And then as I grew up, but I was mostly into hoops. By ninth grade, I knew that was my that was my love. Dollar Bill Bradley was my hero.
Oh, right.
Bill Bradley from the Knicks, Walt Frazier for the Knicks, Earl the Pearl Monroe. I was a Knicks guy from Virginia. And right. So I was deeply into that in high school. I was a Division II recruit as a hooper.
Nice.
Wow.
And but then music happened for me. I got deeply involved in it. My older brother turned me on to two great rock piano players, Leon Russell and Elton John. And I heard the Tumbleweed Connection record, sort of the one Elton record from back then that didn't have a hit on it. But it's that and Mad Men are my favorite Elton records. They just always crushed me then. And then Leon playing with Joe Cocker, Mad Dogs and Englishmen, and then his own great records. And so my focus shifted in 11th grade, 12th grade from basketball to the piano deeply, and I got really intense about it.
What was the first moment you realized that you fell in love with the piano?
Well, we had a little Steinway grand in our house, so that made it easy to fall in love with that instrument because we had a nice instrument there. I remember specifically a song from the Elton record Tumbleweed Connection called Amarina, and music came pretty easily to me. I had a solid ear. I could hear. I knew chords. So I heard this song and could play it. I don't have perfect pitch, but I have good relative pitch, meaning if you play me a D chord and then go from there, then I'm probably going to be able to follow you fairly well.
You can find the G chord.
Which is what I did with the Dead, but that's a different story. Winging it with no rehearsal at Madison Square Garden. I was playing a lot on beat 2, I hear the chord, okay, got it. Beat 2, okay, got it. So so I started picking out these Elton songs and these Joe Cocker and Leon Russell songs, and then that was it for me. That was 52 years ago, and I've just never stopped. I'm a lifelong student, so I've never stopped trying to push it in every way, vocally, as a songwriter, pianistically, all of that.
Was there pressure in your own internal dialogue because your mom was such a great piano player, or did that make you want to get better?
I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you well. Yeah, it was kind of.
What was the internal dialogue like learning the piano with having such a great piano player from your mother, being such a great piano player?
Oh, okay. Well, that's not quite accurate. My mom was a piano player, but she was not really that into it. She was not a great pianist. Her dad, my grandfather, was a musician in the pubic school system of Richmond, Virginia, and
awesome.
So he was a musician for a living in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, when that was not a standard occupation at all. But my mom, coming from that very musical family, she really had a clue about it. And so, for instance, she told me within the first year of my getting interested in this, that my hands just looked terrible. That I had terrible hand position. And so she prodded me to take lessons, and I did. And I took it from this old jazz guy down in Virginia Beach, Pat Curtis, who taught me Bach inventions and Bill Evans chords, standard jazz harmony. And I went from there and got my hands to a better place, so my mom wasn't riding my ass all the time.
I bet. I mean, was it Bill Evans was one of the first guys that really... Sorry, we're having technical difficulties today, Bruce. I apologize. So was Bill Evans one of the first guys you really fell in love with, or what?
Well, okay, after Elton and Leon, I got into Bill Evans. Okay, so I was a guy who just was listening to rock music. I wasn't into jazz music at all, but I was a subscriber to Rolling Stone magazine. And so I was interested in their record review section, and they one issue featured two reviews by two records of this pianist named Keith Jarrett. So
one of my favorites.
So I read this, and of course I was intrigued by this. And one of the records was his first solo piano record on the then import label ECM. Ended up subsequently making a deal with I don't know, Warner Brothers, someone, and so then they had American distribution. But I had to look long and hard for this Facing You record, and I found it, and it just turned me out, and I just went way deeply into this world and got into Bill Evans from that, and so. All of that has informed my playing. People always ask me, they always say to me, hey, we know it's you. We can hear you. We know it's you. Why do we know it's you playing? And I said, well, maybe it's a philosophy of voicing chords. And I had to come up with a facile description. So I describe it as Bill Evans meets the hymn book, because I love also that hymn, the chordal movement of the hymnal. And so Bill Evans meets the hymn book is how I would sort of describe my style. And so, so I got into all that and just went headlong and went to Berkeley College of Music, which was
the best.
It was okay. You know,
It's so refreshing.
Thank God.
I think I've heard, Andy, that you are proud to have not gone there.
Yes, I sure have. Everyone is not graduated. I'm curious why parents still spend $50,000 a year for them to go to school for a semester.
Well, you know, it was always a badge of dishonor to have graduated from Berkeley.
It means you failed.
Because it knew it outed you as someone who was pretty sad as a musician, so you couldn't get a gig. The real killers who were at Berkeley were sort of selected and discovered there, and would end up going on the road with who knows, Mongo Santa Maria, Stan Getz, et cetera, or rock bands. So I get it. I only lasted 2 semesters there, and then went to Suntan U, University of Miami.
How is the music program there?
Well, it's great. It was great for me. I went down there and just got my ass kicked by this teacher I had. And I got in there and he said, "Well, you're terrible. But if you do this and this and this and this and this and listen to everything I do, you won't be terrible." And he was a total badass. His name was Vince Maggio, and he couldn't wait to move you off the piano stool so he could show you how to do it. And he was a player of great ability, great gifts, and he could really walk the walk, not just talk the talk. So I was lucky after sort of recoiling in horror from the ego blast of that first meeting. I got with this program. And so then I got into all the Bud Powell and Wynton Kelly and McCoy Tyner and Herbie Hancock and Chick Corea, et cetera, and dove headlong to that. But I was always into popular music too, and so I would always go to the record store and buy an Ornette Coleman record, say, but then I'd buy a Joni Mitchell record and Europe '72. And so, which is a Grateful Dead record, and so triple album live, and so I always had sort of one foot in one area and one foot in the other, and gradually came out with what I ended up doing.
It's amazing. What about your brother? Was he give me a little background about your brother as well. Because I know you guys are such great musical partners. Was he as serious earlier in his life as you were?
Well, okay, I have 2 brothers. I'm the emotionally disturbed middle child.
Yes, I feel that.
So I have an older brother who was really the muso of the family early on. When I was shooting, he had bands. He had a soul band, the Soul Solution. He had a psychedelic band called Love Minus Zero that played all the Birds, hippie music at the time. But then my younger brother, my older brother's Bobby Hornsby. My younger brother is John Hornsby, and he ended up writing songs with me. The first 2 or 3 records feature a serious brother collaboration. So I was the guy in musical cahoots with both brothers, older and younger. First with my older brother playing in his Grateful Dead cover band up in Charlottesville. He was at UVA, so we would play. His band was called Bobby High Test and the Octane Kids, and we played frat parties, grain alcohol parties out on a place called Lake Renovia. The frat parties would be 3 different layers of dancers: the people dancing on tables, people dancing normally, and then the people doing the dying cockroach on the floor.
Yeah.
Also known in Southern parlance as the Gator. Okay, you guys know beach music? You familiar with the term beach music? Maybe not.
No, tell me about it.
You're looking confused about beach. Beach music is a regional type of soul music, really deeply entrenched in the Virginia, Carolinas, Georgia area. Okay, basically frat party soul music. Okay, if you joined the KA house at University of Georgia, you would try to book certain beach music acts. One of the most famous was a group called Doug Clark and the Hot Nuts, and they just wore jock straps the whole time. That's all they wore on the gigs.
Was it very shticky? Was that like part of the era? Was kind of shticky like that? Everyone had their own vibe to it, or was it just them?
Well, there was always a showbiz element. There's a guy, people, everyone knows about Little Richard, but Little Richard had a model, a guy named Escarita. Leon Russell turned me on to Escarita. You go look up Escarita. He has the same pompadour, the same hair, and he was sexually fluid, sexually ambiguous for the time.
Yeah.
And he was a big frat guy, soul brother singer. And so we knew this beach music scene pretty intimately. We would get hired to play the North Carolina State JC's convention, where all they wanted to hear was this beach music stuff. So if you, with your band, Andy, if you go and find classic beach music songs and you play them, I'll bet you'll drive the jam band crowd wild, because this stuff is just straight ass party music from the old days. So there you have it.
I hear that. When did the music industry start becoming real to you?
Well, okay, I graduated from University of Miami in '77, and then came back to Virginia, where I am now, and put together a band with my brother and a couple of Miami schoolmates. And we were playing around, and we were serious about it. So all of a sudden, it came time for somebody to write songs. We knew that we weren't going to make it just playing Brick House, that could pay the bills, in the lounges that we were playing. See, we were lucky to come along when the drinking age was 18. So the bars were just flooded with kids, college kids. A few years that kind of when we were lucky when we stopped doing it too, because right around when we stopped, the drinking age in Virginia and the Carolinas moved to 21, and it's never come back. I don't think. Not sure about that. All right. So somebody had to write the songs, and I knew the most chords, so I sort of was silently elected, and so I started writing songs at age 22, 23. And we started playing them in these lounge gigs where you're supposed to be playing top 40, but we sneaked some of my songs in there, and we pulled it. What's sort of a difficult trick, we pulled it off in these bars and lounges, because we started gradually acquiring an audience who was not interested in us playing "That's the Way," They were interested in hearing my songs, and so they'd come for that. And the club owners, they don't care why the people are in the club; they just want people in the club. So we were able to play, the Steak and Ale Lounge in Hampton, Virginia, for instance, or at the Janif Shopping Center, Pembroke Mall in Norfolk or Virginia Beach, and play my music and have a crowd. So then we were fans of Steely Dan and the Doobies. We came from this jazz background in school. We also loved the Dead. We'd play "I Know You Rider" and Big Railroad Blues and all blah, 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 at Sugaree. So we knew that the Doobie Brothers were playing Hampton Coliseum. And so we knew where they were staying, because the people, Whisper Concerts, booked our little crappy ass lounge gigs. But they also booked the big Coliseum too. So Doobies are playing Hampton Coliseum. We're playing at the, again, aforementioned Steak and Ale in Hampton at the Coliseum Mall. And we went over to my drummer, John Molo, who's now sort of a titan of the jam band world. He's been playing with Phil Lesh for many, many years. And
he's pretty important.
He's pretty important,
in the jam band world.
yeah. You know who Molo is? You got?
Yeah. I'm close with Graham.
Phil's kid. Graham, he's great. Graham has really become a strong ass musician. So happy.
And I just love how humble he is for being a kid flying in private jets his whole life, and he still gets in that van and he still plays, Poughkeepsie, and he still really does it.
I'm with you. I'm a total Graham fan. And Brian too. Brian Lesh too. I don't know what Brian's doing now, but I always loved Brian as a kid when I knew him. in my days with that in that world. Okay, so we were talking about
22. So your first time, you feel like you got screwed.
Okay, yeah, got it. We find the Doobie Brothers were playing Hampton Coliseum, and so Molo and I, bringing Molo into it threw me. Okay, so Molo and I go in there to the lobby of the Coliseum, Sheraton, and there's Mike McDonald standing right there. So we go up to him and we say, we're looking down on him by many inches, and we say, "Hey, Mike, we're the baddest motherfuckers in this town.
Hell yeah.
Let's go.
And you need to come hear us. We're playing at the Steak and Ale over here. You know, those two statements don't go together. We're the baddest, and we're playing the Steak and Ale. You know."
We almost have our bills paid this month. That's how good we are.
Baddest in our own minds. But anyway, again, we developed this following. So we were riding pretty high on a local or regional level. And so he said, "Well, look, I'm going to a movie, but afterwards I'll come if I can." And so sure enough, he showed up. It was their off night. And so we had saved all my songs for in case he came. And so we just were fucking wearing it out. You know, we meant it hard. You know, we really,
hell yeah.
If we were terrible, it was not for lack of effort, you know.
What'd you see in him that you wanted to impress him so much?
Oh, I don't know. We just liked the music. I liked his kind of white R&B approach to his song. You know, it keeps you running, taking it to the streets.
Yeah.
Those songs.
Sick.
So,
and all the sideman work.
So anyway, he discovered us in the family tree of sort of connections. It starts with him. I call him my discoverer and founder, and he then tried to help us. And we went out. Molo and I went out and slept on his floor. He ended up coming back the next night, bringing everybody from the gig after they'd finished the Coliseum concert. They all came back to the Steak and Ale, the Jolly Ox, it was called, and he sat in with us that night. I mean, that was unbelievable. And he said, "Well, I'll do anything I can. You guys just crush me, and I want to help you." So 2 months later, Molo and I were sleeping on his floor for 10 nights in Studio City.
Whoa.
And so that was. He heard us December 1, 1978. And here's a great one. He took us back. He said, "Come back to the hotel." We hung out in the bar. He said, "Come up to my room. I want to play you our new record that's coming out tomorrow." And it was Minute by Minute. The huge record.
What?
I love that record.
Yeah, I get chills thinking about it. You know, it's one of those life moments that you can't believe this is actually real.
Was that your first time coming into LA too, or have you been there before?
We'd been there on a couple of family trips.
Yeah,
right.
But as a professional, you're in here. Even if you're sleeping on the floor, it's like this is your first time as a man.
Oh, absolutely. That was our first time. I think that was our first. Yes, it was. And so then I could be very specific about this because I've told this story a few times, so I kind of know it well. So anyway, if you're bored with it, we can move on. But anyway, we ended up a year and a half later. I ended up getting a songwriting deal with 20th Century Fox as a staff writer. Mostly they signed me because they thought I was going to get a record deal. I was working with a producer, David Foster, who was an up-and-comer at the time.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I've heard of him. Whatever happened to that guy?
Well, he's still around, you know. He still does concerts, and I think he has a Netflix special.
What was that conversation with David? Because he was young too. What did you see in David where you felt like you guys were like really mixing together?
Well, I wasn't sure that it really was a mix, but I liked him personally, and he was a fantastic musician and a great songwriter in that very pop sort of top 40 area. And we're still friends. I like David, and so we made a tape, and man, this is crazy. We made a 2-song tape, and I went back home to move my girlfriend, who's still my wife. We just celebrated our 40th wedding anniversary, New Year's Eve.
Oh my, congrats!
We got married.
Let's go.
so I wouldn't forget, the anniversary date. New Year's Eve is easy to remember. And so, so anyway, I get out there and I get a call from my publisher at 20th saying, "Where have you been? We've been trying to call you." Of course, this is way before the cell phone era.
Yeah.
The next day, he was freaking out so much because the next day we drove to David Geffen's house in Beverly Hills because he'd heard our tape and he was starting this label that had no name yet. It became Geffen Records. Very clever.
Right.
Who was he managing at the time? Who was Geffen? That's like my idol. That's
Really?
one of my idols.
Well, Geffen
Geffen
is one of the great impresarios in pop music history, of course. And so again, here I found myself kind of like in the hotel room with Mike, listening to minute by minute. I've said, I thought, wow, this is unbelievable. He said to me, "Okay, go play me a song, Brucey." So I played him this song. It was sort of a not unlike a Mike McDonald that kind of rhythmic R&B thing.
Oh.
So, and David Geffen jumps up and says, "Brucey, I want you to make records for me." I thought, God, how easy was this? I just moved to LA. This is 1980 now, June of 1980. Well, then they waltzed around with me for about 4 months. And then they called me in October or so and said, "You know what? You're the kind of artist we're looking for at what was now known as Geffen Records, but you're not ready yet." And you know what? They were, of course, that was, we were crestfallen. We were destroyed by that for a while. But they were right. They were absolutely right. It was not unique. It didn't have its own sound. And the songs were okay. They were pretty good. Pretty good's not good enough. And so, but that whole time is where I realized, just to put a period or just come back, circle around to your question. Your question was, what was my first sort of real experience in the real music industry?
Right.
You had something like that. And so that's what it is. Those stories tell that tale.
So what I was more curious about was, like, when was your first heartbreak in the music industry? Like how we have this visualization of, like, we're gonna get a record deal, we're gonna, like these big dreams when we were kids. What was the first one that said "Welcome to the music industry"?
Right.
Well, there were loads of them, but the first one is, okay, we made this in '78. We made this, just in hindsight, just dog shit ass tape of my first 6 songs, okay, that I'd written. And so, and then, we had no fear of flying, our crowd. Molo, my brother Bobby, and I had no fear. So we took my James Blair High School JB's jock bag full of cassettes up to New York on a train, and went to the phone book and copied the addresses of every record company we'd ever heard of. We went to Buddha Records because I had an old Melanie record, lay down candles in the rain. Let your white birds fly out of the mother. So we went to Buddha. We went to all these labels, demanding to see the president or whatever we were doing. Well, we got in to Atlantic Records, and I was so Molo goes in with this guy. His name was a British guy named Roger Probert, and he listened to the whole 6 songs, the whole demo tape, about 30 minutes worth. And about 2/3 of the way into this, I joined the meeting because I'd been down at another label in the same building. I went to Fania Records, not knowing anything about it. And they told me, "No, sorry, Fania is a Latin label, and you."
Wrong demo.
Wrong demo, Bruce.
You're the farthest from a Latin-looking person. I'm sure your music reflects your look, so you're not our guy.
You're just like a white dude from Virginia, just rolling into the
Hola.
This blue-eyed geezer. So anyway, I've joined the meeting, and we listen, and I'm thinking, wow, okay, guys, must be into it. Listen to the whole thing. And then the last song winds off, the awkward silence after the song stops, and then he punctures the silence with this statement: "You guys got problems."
So should we leave? Or
It's like, is that you're telling us we should leave, or is problems good?
is the problem we're too good?
Well, the problem it was very simple. You guys don't have a hit. They were hearing us as a pop band, and it was true. We were coming from Steely Dan Doobie Brothers, which, for all of Steely Dan's sophistication musically, they had hits on the radio. Songs like "Peg" and "Ricky Don't Lose That Number." So they were more simple. They weren't trying to get Asia on the radio.
Right.
What gave you the confidence, Bruce, after 1 year of, who taught you confidence in your life where you felt after 1 year, I'm going to pitch every single record label?
Well, yeah, okay. I just thought I was getting better at it. I just thought every year I felt I was improving, but also every year there would be some bit of affirmation from the business that gave me reason to continue. Okay, so then there was 1980 when I signed with 20th Century Fox. So that's something. You're actually in the business, making money, making a salary. Then in '82, the great Lenny Waronker, the great producer and head of A&R at Warner Brothers Records, who produced all those Ricky Lee and Randy Newman records, for God's sake, and James Taylor, with his great partner, Russ Titleman, Lenny offered me demo money. Okay, so then there's more affirmation. Then you go, okay, well, I must be doing something right. Say, you figure that. But it would always be, yeah, not quite. We made the demo in '82, but so then in '84, I put together this band. We called ourselves Just the Range. I was hiding behind a band name, and like Dire Straits, like Mark Knopfler always.
Right.
Dire Straits. I thought Bruce Hornsby was about as good a stage name as Mark Knopfler.
It is a pretty dope name, Bruce.
Yeah, it is good.
Not really a good name is what I mean by that. So '84. Then we were playing around the LA scene. Madame Wong's, Hop Sings, the Central, the Lingerie. We were doing the circuit, and at that point, we were kind of we thought ourselves. You remember the group Big Country?
Oh my God, I love Big Country.
Big Country, dreams stay with you like a lover's voice, the mountainside. It's just fantastic.
Such a beautiful melody.
We love that. Sort of an American version of Big Country, or just a modern version of the band. I wasn't playing piano then. I was playing accordion and playing hammered dulcimer, and we had David Mansfield, the great Mansfield.
Oh, wow.
Rolling Thunder Review. He was in the original Range, etc. And so we played around, and we had 5 offers from labels, different Epic, RCA, Warner's, etc., wanting us to make a demo for them. So again, there's knocking on the door, bubbling under the Hot 100, say, and so that's why. So it kept me going. I think you can understand if you had been in that situation, you would have thought, well, okay, I'm still scuffling here, but these people who are real people and people who command great respect in the music business think there's something in there. And all this time, I was gradually starting to find my own voice. And by that time, when I made those first songs, look, they're a little boneheaded. It's just a freaking Lynn drum machine and me playing synth bass on an OBX. And, that's what those records are.
They're so good, though.
Well, okay. That's
nothing wrong with the drum loop.
I don't feel like they age well, but that's just my own cross to bear. And I was not that sure about him even then, to be honest, but that's a different story. So after the '84 thing with the Range, where we got all this attention and all this interest, and we picked Epic Records. We made the demo for them, and they passed on it, and then Warner Brothers passed on it, and so then we were kind of out again. The next year, I decided I was always disappointed when I would bring my songs of that time to the band. I always thought I'd always come out of it saying, "Damn, I thought this song was better than this." And I thought to myself, I need to just record these by myself.
Yeah.
And again, with a Lynn drum machine and me playing everything on the record. So that tape started with Mandolin Rain, and then the second song was The Way It Is, and the third song was Red Plains, from one of the best songs off the first record, the last song. And so I thought that major labels were not for me. So I knew this woman who I'd worked with, who worked for the new age label Windham Hill, and they were starting a vocal label. So I thought, maybe this is my play. So I sent this to her. Dawn Atkinson is her name, and she played it for Will Ackerman, who was the head of the label. And he called me up on a Sunday night. I get chills thinking about that. I got chills about the McDonald thing. And he said, I love this. I can't stop listening to it. And I want to sign you. So I thought, that's great. And so then that happened. And then, but I had to tell my lawyer and manager, okay, this is what happened. I just did this myself. And so now you know, and you can try to make the deal. My lawyer, who's still my lawyer 43 years later.
Well, no way.
Yeah, Fred Ansis is his name.
Shout out to Fred.
Yeah,
Be a good lawyer.
absolutely. Fred had great clients like Charlie Hayden and Priority Records, the hip hop label.
Oh.
He's quite a cat. I call him my Brooklyn beatnik lawyer. President of the student body of Erasmus Hall High School in Brooklyn, years ago in the 50s. So he hears the tape, and he calls me up and he said, "This is too good for this Windham Hill. Give me a couple of tapes. I want to share it with some of my friends, in the big time scene." I said, "Oh, Fred, I've been passed on 70 times in the past 7 years. I think seems like the right move." He said, "Well, just give me a couple of cassettes." So he shared it with a couple of guys, most notably the former rhythm guitar player from the Zombies, Paul Atkinson, the beautiful British man who was the head of A&R at RCA. And he heard this tape. And again, he said, "I don't know if this is commercial. I just can't stop listening to it. And it doesn't sound like anything else I've ever heard." And so they signed me. And that's how it happened.
How did I've many questions about this whole scenario. First off, how'd your band feel when you
Yeah, I'm doing this alone.
Yo, by the way, I think I could figure this out by myself.
Right.
Were they bitter, salty, or were they proud of you?
Well, it's a great question, but I had my way of sort of massaging this and making it a little of both. I decided that I didn't. The label only signed me, and they wanted it to just be Bruce Hornsby, but I wanted to include the band because I thought some of the band songs that I felt they did justice to. I thought that they should be included. These songs should be included too. So I called it Bruce Hornsby in the Range, and I said to the guys, "Look, this is what's happening, and I'm going to sign you. They're not going to sign you guys. They just want me, but I'm going to make a deal with you, and you'll participate very solidly in the points and the royalties from this record and from whatever we do." And so they said, "Yeah, okay." And I'm not sure I don't remember what they thought of the actual piano drum machine tapes that got signed. But of course, as anyone knows who knows this story, all the hits were those piano and drum machine songs.
I know.
Oh,
That's
yeah, exactly.
wild.
Yeah.
So that was obviously the deal seller, the deal maker, and so they were fine. So we ended up doing that, and they recorded the record, but those demos we kept trying to beat the demo. But I'm sure you guys are aware of the demo love, demo I.
Yeah.
Can't beat that first take.
The phenomenon of the first time you put it down, it has a certain je ne sais quoi, a certain intangible quality.
Definitely.
No one can describe it, but you know it when you hear it. And that's what happened here. And then it blew up in England. I'm getting ready to go over to London next week to play with the BBC Radio Orchestra.
Oh, cool.
A little
Sick.
concert, a mini concert live on the air, BBC Radio in London. And it's appropriate because that my record broke on Radio 1, BBC, broke in London.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, that's amazing.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
You know, my question is, through those 7 years of getting declined or getting denied and denied and denied, who was your rock that helped you keep going? Was your girlfriend, wife, or was it yourself? Or how'd you quit?
My girlfriend, wife, she's fantastic, and she was fantastic then. She was so supportive because she liked what I was doing. But I think I got to say, I was the rock. There was nobody else.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
The whole family, because again, like I said it before, I've always felt that I was getting better at it, figuring it out. The music, it was becoming more me, more personal, more unique, more original. And so that's what you need. I tell people all the time who come to me for instance, someone will tell me, man, Bruce, you got to come. There's this singer in our church, and she's just can sing the phone book, and she sounds like Aretha Franklin or whatever. And I tell them, okay, that's great. I'm sure if I came to your church, that this young person would give me chills. I would love it. But here's the problem: the Black church is such a deep well, such a deep training ground of musical for musicianship. Drummers from the church, bass players, rhythm section players, singers, of course. And so I would say to this person, look, we're in Williamsburg. You can go to a whole lot of churches in Williamsburg and hear a great singer. Now you go down to Hampton, Newport News, Norfolk, Virginia Beach, forget it.
Yeah, no.
1,000 great singers. What you've got to do, you've got to set yourself apart, and you've got to write, and you've got to come up with not just good songs, but you have to come up with your own voice, your own unique style. I tell them, because this is sort of a Black community situation that I'm describing. I say, okay, who are the people who had lengthy, lifelong careers? Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder. These people are incredibly creative forces. They wrote their own material, and their music was so original, Sly, etc. You could just keep naming. And so I tell them that, and that's what I think is true here. It's find your own voice, because you should take it as a cut. If somebody comes up to you in the bar you're playing and say, "Wow, you're fantastic. You sound just like Jerry Garcia." I mean, of course, I use that name. That's he's one of my favorite people I've ever met. But he's one of the greatest people I've ever known. But I say, look, that's great. You're onto something there, but you're not onto enough. You want someone to come tell you that you sound like yourself. You say, "Wow, I've never heard anything quite like you."
Right.
And
Right.
That's what will give you a career that sustains that of some length and depth. And so that's just my feeling about it. And that's my story. The least commercial tape I ever made in those days was the one that got me signed, and it was the most original.
Interesting.
I got to clap for you, Bruce. It's unbelievable, because is it the middle child in you that is seeking for attention and seeking for love from your whole family that made you keep going, Bruce?
Look, it might be, but it may be that. Yeah, that may be the explication for my situation. But anybody who knew me growing up knew that, for instance, when I was into basketball, I was deeply involved. I was always out there. I was always sneaking into the College of William and Mary gym, getting kicked out, and then going around the back and knocking on the door to let me back in and do it all over again.
So cool.
So whatever I decided to deal with, I was deeply committed and always pretty much willing to do the work. And I'm still that way. I still get up every day and work on something to try to improve and be productive and just keep evolving.
I'm so curious about your love for the Dead, and when you met the Dead,
Right.
like how perfect and Sympactica was that
After being in cover bands,
After being in cover bands and loving the band, like, can you tell me a little bit about that story? Because I know you probably told us 100 times, but I'm very curious about this.
Yeah, well, okay. So this first record, it went a long way. Around the world. And so we had to become headliners on a 9-song record. So of course we have to flesh the concert out with some covers. So we did 2 main covers. We take my song Red Plains into I Know You Rider. So rather than China Cat Rider, we were doing Red Plains Rider. And so that so we did that, and it worked great. It kind of double times, just like from Red Plains to I Know You Rider, just like China Cat into Riders. And so there's that. And then we did. I love the band. I love Levon, and they did. I always loved their version with Garth's great accordion of the old Dylan song "When I Paint My Masterpiece."
Oh my God!
All the streets of Rome filled with rubble. All that stuff is
Levon.
So we played "When I Paint My Masterpiece." I didn't know at the time when we were doing that was a Weir song in the Dead world. So, but I didn't know that. But so I guess the Dead heard about this band who was making some noise around the country, around the world, and that they were playing what could be thought of as 2 Dead songs. I didn't think of it as that. I thought we were playing 1 Dead song, 1 Dylan band song. So I guess they got interested in it, and we got a call about, say, February of 1987 from the Grateful Dead saying, would you like to open 2 concerts for us at Laguna Seca Racetrack in Monterey, Ry Cooder, the H and the R, and a Dead in May 87. So of course I said yes, hell yes. So it was beautiful, man. I met them. We played the thing. This was funny though. We played these same 11 songs every night. Of course. We played 12 because we were playing the song Jacob's Ladder that Huey subsequently recorded for his next record 4, and he had a big hit.
That was a huge hit. Yeah,
that was a huge hit. Yeah,
yeah, Jacob's Ladder. So we played our 12-song set. Second day, it's the same gig, and we're playing our 12 songs. And so a bunch of Deadheads are coming at the front of the stage, and they're just screaming with great venom and vitriol. They're screaming, same set.
Oh, no.
It's the same shit, man.
They're still doing it.
They're still doing it.
So, yeah, and I didn't know that. I figured that out, of course, later. But so, right, that was the beginning. And then the next year, they asked us to open for them 2 more shows. One at Laguna, at the Buckeye Lake in Ohio, and then I sat in with them that night after we opened for them, and it just kept growing and evolving. The next year we did opened 3 gigs for them, and I would sit in every time. Then I would sit in with them when I wasn't opening, and played with them at the Forum. And then Garcia played on our 3rd record. He played guitar on 2 songs so beautifully. And then it culminated really sadly with the death of Brent and them asking me to join them. And I said, look, if you'd have gotten me a few years ago, I would have gladly.
I'm popping, Jerry. I got my own career, Jerry.
Yeah,
I think things are going pretty well for me, but I will. But if you need me to, I'll help you through any adjustment period that you have with the chair that was filled by Vince Welnick. And so. Yeah, so then that's where I get back to what I mentioned a good while ago, winging it with no rehearsal at Madison Square Garden for 5 straight nights in September of 1990.
Oh, my God. What did Jerry teach you about music, Bruce? What did he teach you?
Well, I would say that I've always said this, he was a walking encyclopedia of folk music. As you know, he was a big bluegrass guy. He had his groups, Old and the Way, jug band music. And he was probably a big devotee of the Harry Smith anthology of folk music, which is a total compendium of every style, from Cajun music to the nastiest gut bucket Delta blues to light, airy white women folk music, folk society. And so I learned about that. I was always interested in that. I knew something about it, but nothing like him. So I remember, after the 5 nights at the Garden, we did a Europe 90. It wasn't like Europe 72, but I had a great time with them, and we rode around on buses. And Garcia and I would always sit in two adjacent seats, and on the same side of the aisle, and where we would just talk about this sort of stuff all the time. And so that was my Garcia tutelage moment. I felt I learned a lot from him. Otherwise, I just learned about a lot of the great Catskill comics like Henny Youngman and Rodney Dangerfield and the Jerky Boys.
Right.
He would listen to these tapes in his tent. So we would just sit
I
there.
love it.
We would just sit there and laugh our asses off, and then go play a gig.
How did you not get into substance abuse?
I told them that if they ever dosed me, I would leave.
Oh, good.
You guys need a piano player, right? And I got some hit records. I'm moving tickets too.
He's like, I'm hot too.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Jerry, you don't need to dose me with no LSD.
I'm doing fine without the LSD.
It wasn't about hot. It was just about fear of the unknown. I'd never done it. And so I didn't want to be Garcia told me stories about him doing some drug that made him just catatonic. He could not move his hands on the stage.
Ketamine.
You know, he could not move his fingers. And same thing happened with my wife and me in Amsterdam at the You guys ever heard of the Bulldog Bar?
Oh yeah, we were just there last month.
Okay, so we went to the Bulldog and we ate some hash, and we got back to our room and we could not move. We were as if we were strapped to our bed. And so I'd had that experience. I'd heard about Jerry's experience. And so they told Bear, hey, leave him alone. And so
we need a keyboard player.
You never got into cocaine or alcohol, none of that?
I did blow one time at the Cave Biker Bar in Virginia Beach, Virginia in the late 70s.
Hell yeah.
I was just sick as a dog and I needed to get through the gig. And this sort of independent record promoter guy used to hang around a lot, was in the bathroom, and he was just tooting his ass off. And he said, hey, man, you want a hit? And I said, man, I feel like shit. I'll try anything. And damned if it didn't get me through the gig. It totally, I have to nod to blow because it did help me through one sad night at this old biker bar called the Cave, where we used to be the soundtrack for the cook getting his ass beat because a biker didn't like the way he made his steaks. We'd playing Big Railroad Blues, and my brother would reach up and turn the light around to light the fight. And
my God.
If you're gonna do cocaine somewhere, it might as well be there.
Yeah, if you're gonna do cocaine somewhere, you might as well do it at the biker bar.
No question. Yeah, it all goes together. So no, I didn't get into that.
So how'd you like approach Jerry's death?
Look, okay. I must say that it was a shock, but not a surprise.
Right.
And so that's really the truth of it. If anybody goes, oh my God, I can't believe it happened, then they weren't really knowledgeable about what was going on. This had been happening. But most people are knowledgeable and know and shouldn't be surprised. I called him toward the end of the dead time. I stopped playing with him. I actually left. I think I'm probably the only person who actually quit. In '92, I just thought Vince was really doing great. I thought it was time for me. I had just had twin sons. They didn't know me. They didn't know me when I came off the road on the Dead tour, and I went, okay, I need to stop doing this mostly because Vinny had it. He had really grokked the whole thing. The whole aesthetic and the songs. He'd done his homework. He was ready, and had been ready. So I lost my train of thought there.
About Jerry, you're about to end.
I got it. But a couple of years later, say 90, in the last year of Garcia's life, they would call me up. Well, they called me up a couple of times, and they asked me. They said, we're playing Charlotte. Would you fly down here and we'll rent a piano? Because if you would come play with us, because Jerry needs a lift, and we're thinking maybe your presence might lift him up because he was really struggling. I mean, really. And this was just, again, in hindsight, a few months before he died. So that was, say, March the spring tour. I went down there, played at the Charlotte Coliseum with them, and had a great time with them. And then they asked me to do the same thing at RFK 3 months later in June. So I played both nights at RFK, but I could tell he was really having a hard time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I decided I was worried about him. And so a couple of weeks after that, maybe a week after their tour ended, I called his house, and Steve Parrish answered. You guys know who Steve Parrish is, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Big Steve answered the phone, and he says, "Hey, Bruce, we're just taking Jerry to Betty Ford, man." I said, okay, well, that's great to hear. And he said, "Here he is." So Garcia got on the phone, and we had a nice talk, and he said, "Yeah, okay, I've decided to do this. I guess there was some sort of intervention that happened. I'm not sure about that, but I'm just guessing, because he was always really resistant." So then I said, "Okay, good luck." And a couple of weeks after that, I decided to call out there to get a progress report if anyone picked up the phone. Well, sure enough, Parrish answers again. He says, "Hey, man, Jerry's back." I said, "Oh man, really? He's supposed to be there for weeks and weeks, and this is just 2 weeks after I called." He said, "Yeah." Jerry Garcia got on the phone. He said, "Yeah, I think I've kicked it. I think I'm good. I feel great." He told me stories about all these people that he met. Some guy who used to play with Django Reinhardt in the 20s in France. All these interesting stories that people he'd met. And so we talked a lot that day. He sounded pretty good, and we talked about. I was getting ready to do something with Ornette Coleman, and Ornette had played with them, and so we talked about that. And he said, "Wow, I'd sure like to be fly on the wall of that." I said, "Well, let's try to get it hooked up, get you to be a part of that." So we were making plans for projects to come, and then 4 days later, he was gone. 4 days after that,
wow.
he died.
It was 4 days after he got a rehab. He was out.
Yeah, he went to Serenity Knolls and copped, and so that was that. Yeah, so that's that. From where I sit, that's my version of that time of the end.
Do you ever regret not telling him he needs help?
I didn't feel it was my place, man. I also felt he had enough guys who knew him way longer and way better than I. So I just didn't feel like. I also knew that he resented it when people said it.
Yeah, and you're his friend.
He would really get snarky. But these were all his friends too. But they were his brothers. They always called me Cousin Brucey, and that's who I was.
Yeah.
But I was. Those other guys were brothers.
Right.
Brothers in arms, and so musical arms, and so that's that. So no, that's the answer to why I never was trying to be that guy to bust him about that.
Were those guys ever asking you to talk to him because he listened to you?
No, I don't think they ever asked me. I know they asked me. The reason it took me a second to think about that is because when Sting was opening for the Dead,
Crazy.
He opened.
So many
for the
people
Dead.
opened for them.
So many people open for the Dead.
Miles Davis opened for him.
Yeah.
So many people open for the Dead. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, that's if you wanted to play for 60,000 people, then that was a place to go to.
Hell yeah.
Who like to listen to music? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if the Dead would accept you, would take you? Yeah. So it turns out that the Dead sound man was only giving Sting's band half the PA or something like that, and he found out about it, and so he was pissed, and they found out he was pissed, and they asked me because they knew I knew him a little bit. They asked me if I would be the go-between, the ombudsman, the fixer to fix the bad vibes, the stink vibes that were in the air at that point. So that's the only time they ever asked me to do anything in that regard was with Sting.
Yeah, and it's hard being the new band member. They've had these years of stuff. It's got to been tough. You can't. It's not your position.
Yeah, it's tough. Guys, we're way over our time.
I know.
An hour over. If you guys want to do it again,
totally.
But so I'll just.
Thanks, Bruce.
I'll do my own plug for our upcoming chamber music record that we have coming out with the great New York chamber group Y Music. You guys ever heard of Y Music?
No, tell me about it.
I have heard, yeah.
You know Y Music? They're just fantastic. I met him through Justin Vernon, the great Justin Vernon of Bon Iver, and Justin had the most amazing festival for a few years there in the teens, the Eau Claire Music and Arts Festival, and this amazing band was playing. The chamber group was playing before me, and I became friends with them. And then they've been part of my last 3 records. And then in the COVID time, we ended up making a record together, and that comes out. It's called Deep Sea Vents. It's an aquatic themed record, and it's again talking about trying to find your own voice, trying to find a style that is unique, that doesn't sound like anything else. Now that's what this record is. It's an original take on music, and so that's coming out on March 1. And so there's my sorry ass little.
I love it, Bruce.
But yeah, if you guys want to do it again,
Yeah, let's do it again. I'd love to get past After the Dead. I want to hear more about that stuff. Before we go, just in case I don't get another time with you, I got one last question. When it's all said and done, what do you want to be remembered by, Bruce?
It doesn't matter.
Hell yeah. That's
my
the
favorite
response I have.
That's my favorite answer.
Yeah.
Anyone's ever had.
I don't. Yeah. Who cares? Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care. Just I won't know. And so I hope they remember me as fondly as they remember Biggie Smalls over there on your wall.
Or Tupac Shakur, baby. I wanted to talk about Tupac. We'll talk about it another time.
Of course, that's my guy. That's one of my guys in that world. No question.
I love it. Well, Bruce, thanks so much for being part of the show, and thank you for sharing your time with me. You're a legend in our book, and
I'm a fan.
Yeah, we're huge fans of you, and we're just honored that you shared some time with us. So thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Yeah, we'll do it again. We'll pick up.